And welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a jam-packed show as usual. All kinds of good stuff. We're going to look at potential upset picks for the day, in addition to, not for today, but for the weekend. What does South Carolina have to do to get the win over Auburn? What does Clemson got to do to get the win over Wake? And, of course, picks against the spread. It's also Tell Me Why Friday. Why do you think your team is going to win this weekend? Now, don't call up if your team is playing a cupcake this weekend. I'm not going to entertain all that. I'm just saying. If you want to, it's funny because I think that, we mentioned it yesterday where the majority of the SEC is taking basically a bye week. It's not really their fault. It's just the way the games are scheduled. It is kind of funny, though, where people will rip the conference for that. But they look at their own conference and they look at the out-of-conference games in the past month and they want to just go silly. We talked about that yesterday. You can find that on the podcast. It's up wherever you get your favorite podcast. Just look for the Rundown with Rob. But we do have something else that's come out. Apparently, Lane Kiffin has, according to one report, would be open to taking the Miami job if it opened up. Anyway, with that, you've got the issue of Lane Kiffin possibly taking the Miami job, or would be open to it, according to a report. Well, if that happens, it makes you think, is Miami really a better job than Ole Miss? When you step back and look at it, with the stuff that's gone on at Miami here lately, I mean, I don't know if moving, it's at best a lateral move to Miami. Maybe you could go into the front of, hey, it's a setup where you get out of having to play Alabama every year. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe his agent is just putting stuff together to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're going to try to rope you in some better money. But the Michigan State head coach got $95 million. We think you're a better coach than he is. You got a more proven track record than he does. Look at what you've done in your little bit of time here. Interesting when you really stop and think about it. Now, I don't think he's going anywhere, but we shall see. Real Pilled Online says, yeah, it's about getting paid. You're right. And when you look at it, though, I think the contract up at Michigan State, they basically sent out a message saying, you know what? We're tired of being a second-tier team in the Big Ten. We're at least going to put out the money here to show that we have found our guy. We like what he's done for us this year, and we're going to go from there. We'll have to see how that works out for them, but it is a very interesting move, how much money they spent for him, and it's a shot across the bow for everybody else. It's more money than Lane Kiffin makes. I think it's more money than Dabo Swinney makes, and Sweeney's sitting on 2 national titles. So there's going to be some adjustment because coaches are going to look around and be like, wait a minute, this guy had a losing record last season. Huh. It also makes you think that if he can use that Miami job to pressure into them saying, you know what, down at Ole Miss, we should probably pay him more. Baylor man with a good comment there. He's the second highest paid coach behind Nick Saban. Yeah. That's just amazing, though, because if you remember correctly, I don't think people were very high on him heading into Michigan State. So, but now the guy's the second highest paid coach in college football. The ripple effect of that is going to hit a lot of athletic programs. And you know what? In some ways, I don't feel bad about it. what I mean by that is that if you can convince someone to pay you that much, then that's the way that it is. If I am Nick Saban, insert great coach here, I'm looking at what this guy's getting at Michigan State, and I'm like, wait a minute, my track record's better than that. Yeah, it's gonna really make a difference. 803-978-1832. If you want to talk about that, is Miami a better job than Ole Miss? Because the talks are that maybe Kiffin may decide to move over there. We shall see. It's one of the more interesting stories that's floating out there today. By the way, let's look at some upset potentials for this week. And what I did was I went and looked and found some of my favorite writers and stuff that they had out there. And I pieced together some of the stuff that I kind of agreed with and came up with some of these. One of them is Nebraska versus Wisconsin. You know, when you step back and look at it, Nebraska's been a decent team. They've had some losses that kind of make you scratch your head a little bit, but it's not like they're a team that's not a tough out. Wisconsin may be ripe for the picking here. They've held 6 straight opponents to 14 points or fewer. Nebraska's offense is well balanced, though. We'll see how that matchup works out. Frost and his teams, Scott Frost and his teams have gone 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 November contests, 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 games following a loss. Just some notes there. They seem to rally when they have to. The spread in that is 9.5, so we'll see how that goes. Virginia Tech at Miami. You know, no one's expecting with this game. You know, you look at it at the beginning of the season, and you think, man, this could be the game that is going to determine who's going to win the Coastal. Instead, you've got Justin Fuente is gone, and Manny Diaz is probably gone too at the end of the season. So with that, it makes you wonder what these teams have left. Seriously, when you step back and look at it. So when you stop and slow down just a little bit, Virginia Tech is getting 8 points. That might be safe. Might be. Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. You know, the whole look ahead thing here is why I think that Texas Tech may get them. It's a night game. So that's one of those that might come across. We'll see how that works out for Texas Tech. As we look at some of the other games, of course, I want to get some of these comments out here. Tennille says Kirby equals $100 million coach. Colby says, was it Colby that said that? Someone said, Colby said, I think Michigan State is jumping the gun. Yeah, you might be right about that. But here's the thing. There was going to be somebody else that would take a chance on him because Michigan State has done some stuff this year where they don't have the most talented roster, but they've won games. They really have. They've overachieved. And that's what gets you hot on the coaching recruiting carousel. Anyway, we'll take calls on that. 803-978-1832. Is Miami a better job than Ole Miss? I say no. I think from the SEC contract and how much money is going to be flowed into the program, I just think it's better to stay at Ole Miss, especially with what you've already got coming in there. And Miami's going to take a while to rebuild. No, but Lane Kiffin may just like Florida. He's kind of flaky with all that kind of stuff. So there's that. But Andy Slater did put that out yesterday about Lane Kiffin saying he would leave Ole Miss for the University of Miami if the Hurricanes coaching job were open. Multiple sources close to Kiffin tell me. I don't know where that's going to go. But Kiffin is going to be a guy that we know that can coach offense. Will he move on? I don't know. And you got to get paid. I get that. I completely get that. Everybody wants the Will Muschamp job where 2 SEC schools are paying you. I think Muschamp was paid in one settlement there from South Carolina, but that's not the point. The point is you're still getting coached and you're still getting paid by somebody else. Everybody seems to like that. All right, 803-978-1832. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, young man.
Hey, what's up?
I would take the Miami job in a heartbeat.
Over Ole Miss?
Over Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I know Miami has had some problems since the heyday, but Miami is able to bring in more talent than Ole Miss will ever bring in. I know you were talking about the money that is accessible to coaches and colleges or universities if they're in the SEC. And really, if you look at it, some of those schools in the SEC probably should not be in the SEC. They more or less should be in another conference. But can't change that. As far as Mississippi, Lane has done some good things. I think the last person they had was Hugh Freeze or somebody before him. I can't remember the other coach. And did pretty good, but the thing about it is that's not going to last too long. So if I was Lane, I'd get out of Mississippi, go somewhere where he really could. I mean, he's put his stamp on pretty much every program he's been at, and he has numerous opportunities to coach, whereas other fellows wouldn't get a chance to go to Southern Cal and go to Tennessee and go to the Oakland Raiders and all that. So, but Miami, I'd take Miami in a heartbeat. Thank you, sir.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Let's get another call here. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Kel, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Colby calling in from Augusta.
Hey, Colby. What's up, brother?
Yeah, man, I just want to talk about the Mel Tucker issue that's seemingly going along around the world.
Yeah.
I think Mel Tucker should stay in Michigan. What do you think?
Well, he's going to stay there because they're giving him $95 million. I mean, that's the way that it is.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Yeah, I
but
mean.
Right, but why would you even look at another school right now? To build up another school?
Well, no. I mean, if another school came to you with that kind of money, I mean, money talks, but the $95 million, which makes you the second highest paid coach in college football, you didn't have a winning season last year. I'll sign on for that.
Right. I agree with you. I appreciate you taking my call, man.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great day. Yeah, and the carousel is going to continue to turn. You know, there are the Power 5 jobs that are out there. I think Florida's going to be on the list. But schools that are already there, Virginia Tech in the ACC. You've also got LSU, Southern Cal, Washington, and don't forget Akron. People seem to forget Akron, but yeah, all those teams are in the mix. And what's going to happen is that I wonder what's going to happen with certain schools that have, that hot shot offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, whatever, and they decide to go somewhere else. I think that LSU is probably going to get the name pick. I doubt they're just going to hire just a guy that's, I doubt they're going to hire the coordinator. They're going to go after the big name, in my opinion. We shall see how that works. 803-978-1832. But I think that staying at Ole Miss is probably better than Miami right now to a point, simply because of what Lane Kiffin has done. That and Miami is at a point where how far are they down? And maybe Kiffin thinks I get in the state of Florida, I can start recruiting there and then go from there. Go Buck says he can't wait for Franklin to leave Penn State so we can pillage his recruiting class. All right. That sounds good. Everybody loves to swarm in on those recruiting classes, though. What was it? Jimbo Fisher put this whole comment out about, man, we're recruiting at such a high level. Like I would go to LSU and have to go against these guys that I'm recruiting here. What kind of sense does that make? Is essentially what Jimbo Fisher said about leaving. We'll see how that works out. DeReal MVP says James Franklin to LSU. See, that's the thing too. If he leaves and goes to LSU, who's going to go to Penn State? Will Alabama's offensive coordinator, I forget his name. does he want to go back to being the head guy? We'll see. We'll see how that works. It's going to be interesting either way because it's that whole ripple effect. This coach goes here, this coach goes there. And then you got to figure out eventually it's going to shimmer down to some of the smaller schools, not necessarily second tier jobs, but smaller schools end up losing their coaches to go to take on jobs with bigger schools. It's just the coaching carousel is very, very interesting. Let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
What's up, Rob? It's Megan.
Hey, Megan. How's your
if I
Friday?
remember correctly.
Sure.
Good. How's yours? Hey, wasn't Mel Tucker at Colorado for a while? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And he didn't exactly set the world on fire over there. Is that right?
No.
Yeah, it was mediocre at best.
He had a losing
yeah,
season last year, so
Right.
Yeah.
Yet he was given an opportunity at Michigan State. Had a losing season last season. This season, he's obviously done pretty well. Now, how many coaches in America, just a rough estimate, have the kind of deal that he has right now?
well, there's only one that's paid higher than he is, and that's Nick Saban.
Okay. So, and he is a minority, correct, Mel Tucker?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there's a caller out there from about 3 weeks ago. He knows who he is. He needs to call in and explain how this could happen. Because according to him, it would never happen and could never happen. Yet here we are. So,
Well, I don't, and out of fairness, I don't think that they're paying him because he's a minority. I think they're paying him because of what he did this season. I think that's
right.
fair. We can agree
no,
upon
no,
that, right?
No, and that's my point.
Yeah.
It absolutely shouldn't matter, and I don't think it does matter. But according to that caller, this type of thing could never happen. You know, just they just wouldn't get the fair shake in that direction. But obviously, it does happen. You know.
Wow. Yeah.
And again, this is after one good season. He was not very good at Colorado. He was not very good last year at Michigan State.
Well,
This is
and
one good season.
Here's the other thing too. He got that contract, but he is an 18-point dog this weekend at Ohio State. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I mean, it's like they could go out and get pasted by Ohio State this weekend. They really could, and they may lose next week too. We don't know.
Yeah, Rob, what was the line again on the Missouri Florida game?
Opened up at -10. I think it's down to 7.5 now.
I know very little about Vegas. Admittedly, I'm not a gambler. Matter of fact, the only gamble I made this season became quite famous on this show, and I did lose that. But do they factor in things like the psychology of where this team is right now, and the fact that many people think they've just quit on Mullen?
I think with Las Vegas, they just try to make it even across the board. I don't think that feelings matter to them, to be honest. But
yeah.
I also think that anyone that's done any research, that's the most stumbling line of the week for me. Mizzou has a great running back in Tyler Beatty, and Florida can't stop the running game at all.
No.
So South Carolina ran for 57 yards against them last week. The week before against Florida, they ran for 284. I mean, there's just
right.
so many things that go into that. And I understand maybe Mizzou's figuring it out on defense. That could be true. But when I step back, I kind of thought that Mizzou would be favored in this game. But
I did too.
Yeah. Maybe it's just
really...
the fact that I've seen how much of an idiot Dan Mullen is. And it's like, I mean, because them dancing in the locker room just showed me, man, he doesn't want to be there anymore. He really doesn't.
No.
So there's that.
Yeah, and that's just what we got to see. Can you imagine what we don't get to see? The things that go on at practice and in that program in general.
Yeah.
What was the line? What was the Clemson line again?
Clemson -4.
Did that surprise you as well, or no?
Well, in a way, I thought it'd be closer to a pick 'em because I think Wake Forest is really good, but I think Brent Venables, he has a knack for figuring out what Wake Forest is doing, and their offense generally doesn't work against him. I think the last 4 matchups, or I think the last 6 matchups, the average margin of victory is like 27 points. And that's with Wake coming in there and throwing the ball around and doing all this delayed handoff and all of that stuff. And I'm not taking anything away from Wake by any stretch. But until you can master what Venables is throwing at you, it's just kind of like it's kind of hard to bet against him, even though the Clemson offense is terrible.
Yeah, but you get the feeling that this is one of those games where Wake Forest becomes Wake Forest again, and Clemson kind of becomes Clemson again.
Well, I think
just kind of a gut feeling.
Yeah, I think I said it on the show. I don't think Clemson loses another game the rest of the season. I think they win this week. I think they win next week. And if they go to the ACC championship game, I think they win there, and I think they win whatever bowl game they go to. I just have that feeling about them that Shipley got a week off to get healthy. They've got two good running backs, and I think that the competition from here on out really isn't that as tough, to be completely honest. And I think they'll roll out. I mean, I really, really do.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It just feels like they spun their wheels long enough, and it's time for them to be Clemson again. I'm pretty sure.
There's just too much talent. There's too much talent on the team. Now, I may have to moonwalk that back later if they get hammered by Wake and then come and lose to South Carolina next week. But if you just look at the roster, there is too much talent for them to be sputtering as much as they are on the offensive side of the ball. The defense has played pretty good throughout the season.
Yeah, and we all know how you feel about coaches with a whole bunch of talent but don't do anything with it, right?
Exactly. Coaches that don't win national titles. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, hang on to that little nugget as long as you can. You better squeeze that thing tight for the next few weeks because that's coming to an end. I think my Bulldogs will eke one out Saturday, by the way. I'm going to go ahead and pick them to win that one.
I don't know, man. Charleston Southern's pretty good. The Bucca. No, I'm picking.
Yeah.
If y'all don't score 50 in the first half, I'll be shocked.
I won't be shocked about that because that's a lot of points. Anything can happen.
Well, while I've got you here, how long before we see JT Daniels tomorrow? They got to get up 30, or is it going to be less than that? Over and under at 30 points before we see him?
I think 30 is right about the mark. I think just after that you see him.
Oh man, when's he going to transfer?
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'm dead serious. I don't think he came to Georgia to sit on the bench behind Stetson Bennett.
I don't think so either, but the guy has not played one season of football where he doesn't miss significant time due to injury. So, I mean,
yeah, that's true too.
What do you do?
Transfer.
What do you do? Hey, 43-18, Rob.
Have a great day, man. See you later on. Yeah, Beg and Megan joining us there. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have some more for you here on the Rundown, here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. By the way, don't forget our live show coming up on not this Friday, but next Friday. I have tickets to the game. If you guys want to go, check out our live show that day. Come out and see us at Callaway's in West Columbia. It'll be a fun time. We'll play a little trivia. Yep, it's gonna be good stuff. I'm trying to hold it down, go Bucks. We're going to get Jackpot tanked and then have him do picks. Don't tell them that, Jackpot. You don't believe that. Jackpot must already be hitting the bottle there, calling that pick. My God. Why don't you take Charleston Southern in the money line? Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. Appreciate the folks checking out the chat room today. You guys are awesome. Also, we'll have some picks for you later on. Looking at that Wake Forest Clemson matchup, the Clemson has won 12 straight in the series. Not that that means anything on that front because, different players, etc. Last year's team, Clemson won 37-13. The year before that, they won by 49. The year before that, they won by 60, 14, 22, 20, 14, 49, 29, by a field goal in 2011. The reason that I'm telling you this is that Wake Forest comes in as one of the top offenses in the ACC. And I can buy that. But I'm also in the camp of Brent Venables has figured them out. So there's that. They've had great wide receivers that have come in and he just shuts them down. So Clemson's won 12 straight, 34 games at home. All of that could come to a halt if Wake can break that streak. I think that if they're going to break it, it's probably going to be on the road next season. Maybe. Better shot that way. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. My buddy Carolina Jackpot Online says the lock of the weekend is Wake Forest on the money line. Please don't take that bet and then come back and say that I did it. That's Carolina Jackpot's number. He likes to lose money. Some of the projections for this weekend, according to the FPI, if you look at some of the FPI, the way they adjust it every week, it's kind of interesting. Speaking of that Clemson game, the FPI has Clemson at a 68.5% chance to win that game. Michigan State and Ohio State, 86.3%. Charleston Southern and Georgia, 99.9%. I don't think the Bulldogs are going to. Will there be a sighting for JT Daniels tomorrow? We'll see. Iowa State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's at 65%. Prairie View A&M at Texas A&M. I didn't even know they had a team yet there. I thought that they had let that program go away. 99.5%, which is a little bit better than Charleston Southern. Tennessee State at Mississippi State, 99.5. New Mexico State at Kentucky, 98.9. Florida State at Boston College. Boston College is at 58%. And there was one other one I was looking at. Oh, the South Carolina matchup. I have it over here. I think it was. Let's see here. South Carolina. I don't know why I didn't highlight it like I normally do. Yeah, it's 76% chance there for Auburn to pick up the win in Columbia this weekend. If you want to sound off on that, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you would like to join us here on the Rundown. Billy says it's JT Christ Daniels. Look, it's JT on the bench. Basically what it is. Guy can't get on the field. See how that works out tomorrow. How much time will he get? 803-978-1832. More of the Rundown. We come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Performance for men has helped thousands of men overcome erectile dysfunction. The question is, what What are you waiting for? Live the life you want today with a free consultation. No medication, no pumps, no needles, no pain, no surgery, and absolutely no downtime. Just non-invasive acoustic wave therapy that will have you back to your natural form. That's right. Now for a limited time, a free consultation. There is no risk. Fix it for good with one phone call. Call the Columbia office today at 803-302-8181 or find them at peakperformanceformen.com. Why wait? Enjoy your life to the fullest. Peak can make the difference. Call 803-302-8181 and get your free consultation now. That's 803-302-8181. Peak Performance for Men. Popular demand, great cover holds, coverage, great coverage, sleep coverage, all run. Whether you're looking for a new home in your hometown, moving to a new town, or just want your Christmas choice spot, this is the place to start. Great Southern Homes invites you to wow in your new home with top-of-the-suite upgrades. Live cool, live smart, and your new premium smart home. Show your style and customize your new home with top-ticket upgrades from Great Southern Homes. Find your dream home today at greatsouthernhomes.com.
I'm Alicia Kaufman Flynn. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh.
Yeah, I'm looking at. It's weird because the best SEC game is, I mean, Alabama's going to smack Arkansas, but probably the closest game is going to be it's probably going to be that Mizzou game. Would not surprise me at all.
Colin Coward, here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Cam Newton's been declared the Panthers starter for Sunday's game against.
Thanks for that, Billy.
NASCAR's bringing back practices and qualifying for every race on next season's schedule after going 2 years without as pandemic precautions. And Cleveland's pro baseball team is now officially the Guardians. The club transitioning to its new name today after more than 100 years as the Indians. I'm Scott Davidson. Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs. Every member is waiting to impress. Learn more at MBUSA.com. The Rundown with Rob. Weekdays at 3 on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Let's take a tour around the ACC first, then we'll get to the SEC. Last night in the Nobody Cares Bowl, Louisville won 62-22 over Duke. What a mess. What an absolute mess. Games this weekend, Wake Forest and Clemson, Florida State and Boston College. Wofford plays at North Carolina. Man, Wofford's 1-9 on the season. Wofford's normally a pretty good FCS team. Not so much this year. Georgia Tech plays Notre Dame. Virginia and Pitt, Syracuse and NC State, and Virginia Tech and Miami. I don't know what the ACC is doing putting Wake Forest and Clemson at noon. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, other matchups around the SEC. Charleston Southern at Georgia. Prairie View at Texas A&M. Tennessee State, Mississippi State, New Mexico State, and Kentucky. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, and Missouri. Auburn, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, South Alabama, and Tennessee. Not a very intimidating schedule there this weekend. I venture to say the best matchup there, Auburn, South Carolina, Florida, Missouri. Those games might actually be close. I thought it would be interesting to see Jake Bentley. I think he's done for the year, but it was going to be fun to watch him in South Alabama go into Tennessee. I didn't think any of us thought that Tennessee was going to be as good as they are. Somebody's going to leave with bowl eligibility there on Saturday from Knoxville, so that's an interesting thing. Let's look at this Alabama game really quick, though. Alabama finishes out the season, and it's with 2 ranked opponents. Of course, Arkansas is 21st, and then actually Auburn is not ranked. I'm sorry, but the Iron Bowl is still a tough matchup. The point is, this might be one of the toughest roads in November that we've seen the past couple of years for Alabama right there at the very end of the season. A lot of it is people didn't expect as much out of Arkansas. But Arkansas is in at 7-3, 20.5-point underdog. And, you know, if we're going to find out if Alabama's as good as we thought they were, I'm not saying they're going to drop one of these games, but at least they're being tested the final couple games of the season. As always, we'll take calls at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial. They will win the West if they beat Arkansas. So there's that. They can lock it up. They still got to win next week, though, at Auburn. If they plan on, or with, I think it's at Auburn this year, if they plan on going to the college football playoff. Colby asked, what's my opinion on Georgia and Ohio State if they meet up? I think that I'm not completely sold on Stetson Bennett, but I'm not really sold on the Ohio State defense either. So I think that CJ Stroud is playing pretty good football. When you look at actual quarterbacks, that might be the toughest quarterback. I mean, I guess Bo Nix is there too, that the Georgia defense has played against. But you can make an argument that that would be one of the tough ones there, the toughest quarterback they're going to have. But in my opinion, I think that'd be a good matchup. But I think Georgia, with their defense, would probably win that game. I really, really do think that. And of course, I know it sounds like it's a stereotypical response, but Stetson Bennett can't turn over the ball. If he turns over the ball, Ohio State can capitalize on that. But I think that'd be a really, really good matchup. I think that's a tougher matchup for Georgia, in my opinion, than Alabama right now. I know everybody's, has the whole, well, that's going to be the matchup that everyone's wanted to see. But when you really look at Alabama, this isn't the most physical Alabama team that we've seen in a while. Nick Saban, he goes into his press conferences and he looks just angry. It's not even crazy. I'm sorry, it is crazy the way that he feels. Like he can't get anything done. It's a mess. It really, really is down there in Alabama to an extent because they're not as tough as they normally are. I think Georgia's a lot more physical than Alabama. I'm not saying they're going to blow them out because I think there's a mental thing there too. Can they mentally get over, hey, we have to beat that A? Can they do that? And that's important. It really is. But as far as toughness and a tougher opponent, I think Ohio State has the best shot to beat Georgia in a playoff game. 803-978-1832. Colby says the Georgia defensive backs haven't been tested like OSU wideouts would do. That's your worry. Yeah, that's true. And if you look at Ohio State's schedule, they're playing, what is it? The final 3 weeks of the season, they've had like teams that are ranked in the top 25. If Michigan wins this weekend, next weekend's matchup will be a top 5 matchup. Of course, Michigan State's tough too. So in theory, they're playing a tough schedule. And I believe they get Wisconsin. I think that's how it's going to shake out in the Big Ten championship game. Wisconsin's playing pretty good defense. Not Georgia level yet, but pretty. Yes, I know, Siri. But they're playing pretty good defense. And that's if they get a win over them, then they're going to be tested. That is for sure. But yeah, that's one of those matchups that you want in the college football playoff. And to be honest, you kind of want that matchup in the championship game. I think there's a set of people that think, Yeah, they're not going to have Georgia and Alabama matchup if Alabama wins and Georgia gets in because of the season they had, but they take the two SEC teams. I think people think, yeah, they wouldn't match those two up. I think they would. I really do. But yeah, that's one of the fun matchups we have to look forward to in the college football playoff. There also, I mentioned we have too many bowls, but some of the potential bowl matchups are games that you would never normally see. And those are kind of interesting too. Having, you could look at it from a perspective of like Texas A&M play, like last year's game with North Carolina was a good game. Those two teams will probably never cross paths for a long, long time. That's what's cool about the bowl season. And I hope it gets back to a point where going to a bowl is a big deal. Getting to actually go to a bowl game is huge. Now it's like, yeah, you just win 6 games. Yeah. I think the NCAA should change that. Really do. Cut down on the amount of bowl games. Make it where you got to have 7 wins, 8 wins. Make it a little bit better. Not that I won't watch pretty much a lot of these bowl games. They'll be on blaring around the house while I'm doing holiday stuff. Anyway, quick break when we come back. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Picks against the spread when we return. I don't know what bowl that they would play in, to be honest. I like the bowl, and every bowl game does stuff for charity, but there are certain bowls that go like the ones that have been there for a while, like the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl. I mean, the classic bowls, they do so much in the community, and that's great. I kind of like that. But all these other bowls are kind of flat. Yeah, but if you cut the amount of bowl games, then that would make sense.
Hey, Scott here from Traditions with great news. We're proud to announce the grand opening of our second store starting this Friday and Saturday at the Village at Sand Hill. To celebrate, we've got fantastic specials running this week, every week, all the way to Christmas Eve. So if you're in the market for fine jewelry or collegiate apparel, you're going to want to come see us and save when you do. This week, we're making all short sleeve retro tees 30% off, and all $10 tees are now only $7. You can also select from a group of long sleeve tees for just $20, and all of our retro sweats are buy one, get the second for half price. Looking for jewelry? This week, get a 1-carat lab-grown solitaire.
I'm saying they should.
$14.99, and get all Palmetto jewelry as well as sterling silver jewelry at 40% off. Specials are available at both locations, so hurry in this weekend and celebrate our newest location. That's Traditions Fine Jewelers in Lexington, and now at Sand Hill, where the Midlands get engaged.
Yeah, I've got those games right here. Hold on. Welcome back into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Picks in just a moment, but out to the phones we go. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Big Barney Ross here, calling in to thank the Georgia Bulldog Nation. I've come to work and won the pool. I picked $25 will get you a square. And if a Georgia fan complains 10 times about injuries, I have won the pool. And I took that money, along with the money I won when they didn't cover against Kentucky. On my lunch break, I bought a vet. That's right, a vet. Now, I think where you're from in Carolina, y'all call it a Chevette, but it does have fiberglass, and I think y'all call it Bondo. But I feel so good. Big Barney Ross wants to pay it forward and give you 2 upset predictions of the week
This is
so
gonna be good.
everybody can get them a vet.
All right, fair enough.
South Carolina will beat Auburn 9-3. And I've got Clemson beating Wake Forest by 3 scores. That's my prediction and upsets for the week. Big Barney Ross, I'm out of here.
All right, Barney, thank you, man. And look, if you bought a Chevette, make sure that you go completely old school with the Chevette. You got to go all in with that Chevette. You've got to like get the one that has like the roll where you can roll down the windows by hand. Yeah, you gotta have that. And make sure that it's like the Chevettes that I remember. The black ones were really cool, but if you can find one of the gray ones, those just looked a little better. Just saying. But congratulations. Yeah. Well, it's not really fair if you use Beggin' Megan as the only guy that complained about injuries. That's almost a sucker's bet. You knew where to go get it. But I'm glad you could get a Chevette. Hopefully, I mean, you want to pay it forward, donate it to charity. That'd be a good thing to do. Anyway, his upsets there. You know, I'm not really sold on South Carolina's offense. I think that Florida's just bad, to be completely honest. I really do. I think South Carolina's got to figure some stuff out in the running game. All right, picks against the spread. Arkansas and Alabama. Alabama's a 20.5-point favorite on, what is it, the senior day at Alabama? Yeah, give me Alabama to roll there. I think they're going to finish them off early, and I don't think that Arkansas is conditioned to play from behind. So give me them minus 20.5. You've also got Florida and Mizzou. I'm taking Mizzou. The line now is at 9 points for Florida, and I'll probably look stupid on Sunday after that game, but I firmly believe that Mizzou is right now, they're more checked in than Florida is. They just broke ground today on their practice facility, which is kind of interesting because I think they're the last SEC team to have one. But I like Mizzou to pick up the win there outright on Saturday. Definitely covering the 9 points. Auburn and South Carolina, I'm taking Auburn to cover. Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a 36.5-point favorite. You know what? I don't know. I don't really know if Vanderbilt's ever going to get off the mat. So give me Ole Miss to cover there. Around the ACC tomorrow, I like Clemson minus 4.5. I like Boston College minus 2. I like Notre Dame minus 17. And I like Virginia plus 14.5, even though Virginia kind of buried me last week. I'm rolling with the Cavs there. Syracuse is also an 11-point underdog on the road. I wonder if NC State has given up. So give me Syracuse minus 11 and Syracuse plus 11 and Virginia Tech plus 7.5 over Miami. 2 5-5 teams that are just not very good. In the Big Ten, the big matchup, Michigan State and Ohio State. Ohio State's a 19-point favorite. Ohio State to win, but Michigan State, I think, will cover. And that game will make some people a little uneasy there if Michigan State goes into the fourth quarter and they've got the ball and they're down a shot or down a couple of points and have the capability to finish that. Let's take a quick call, 803-978-1832. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, and well, I don't think South Carolina gonna start well, but they're gonna try to start. They're gonna try to start Chad Boosie.
Yeah, man. We'll see how that matchup goes, buddy. It should be interesting tomorrow, but I think Gamecock offense is a little needs some work on the blocking front.
Oh yeah, and when if I got here, I like to see South play North Carolina every year. What do you thoughts about that, Wyrie?
Yeah, man, I agree with you. Thank you for calling the show, buddy. You have a great weekend.
You too.
All right, there you go. I think South Carolina, North Carolina should play. So there's that. Other matchups, though, I think that I mentioned Ohio State. I like them to win, but Michigan State to cover. Purdue and Northwestern. Purdue is an 11-point favorite on the road. Give me the smart kids. Plus 11 at home. I know they're 3-7. I know they've had problems. But, yeah, I kind of like Northwestern to cover those, keep it within 11. And let's see here. Oh, we got to go to the Pac-12. There's a big game there in the Pac-12 that can really kind of throw some things off this weekend. And that is number 3 Oregon on the road at Utah. Utah's a 3-point favorite. I think Utah wins. I really do. I think they win outright. And then we have some chaos. In the Big 12 this weekend, I kind of like Oklahoma. I think they're going to bounce back after their loss that they had. I think they win over Iowa State. They're a 3.5-point favorite there. West Virginia, give me the Couch Burners over Texas, -2.5. TCU and Kansas. Could Kansas win 2 in a row? I don't know. I'll take Kansas, though, just because of their weekend last weekend. +21, why not, with TCU? Baylor and Kansas State. Kansas State is a 1-point favorite over Baylor. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Give me Baylor to win that game. And Oklahoma State at Texas Tech. You know, that's a game that when you just look at it, you think, man, Oklahoma State, they should handle those guys. They're a 10-point favorite, but I kind of think that there may be an overlooked thing here going on, and it's on the road at Texas Tech. It is their Super Bowl there. Still think Oklahoma State's going to cover the 10, though, but I think it'll be late. All right. Tomorrow, our best Gamecock coverage on our sister station, 103.5 FM WVOC. We will be right up and at it. Kickoff for tomorrow's game is at 7 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 4 o'clock. Everything you could possibly want to know about that South Carolina-Auburn game, we'll have it for you. In addition to that, the post-game show. Myself, Justin Hall, former Gamecock wide receiver, Tim Frisbee, breaking down what happens with the Gamecocks and Auburn. It's a marathon day of coverage that we do every weekend for South Carolina. So, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Also, the podcast will be up at about 5 o'clock today. If you want to take my picks and listen to them later on and laugh at me, feel free to do that. Brandon says, do you think the Auburn blows out South Carolina? No, I think it's going to be 14 points. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I just don't feel really good about it either. All right. So with that, we have got, of course, Lawton Swan of Clemson Sports Talk. He is up next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Clemson Sports.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. I'll be back at it tomorrow on our best Gamecock coverage. We will see you later on. Ouch. That's funny. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all, man. We'll talk to you later on.